The desert doesn't remember footsteps for long. By midday, wind sweeps away tire tracks, campfire ash, even names. Yet sometimes, the ground keeps a secret under its skin, and 9 years later, it breathes it back. April 9th, 2016. The Turner family, David, 42, Rachel, 38, and their children, Eli, 11, and Maya, 8, left Las Vegas for what was supposed to be a 2-night camping trip. They told neighbors they were heading toward the Kelso Dunes, few hours west, just to stargaze before school starts again. Dashcam footage from a gas station shows the 4Runner pulling out of the parking lot at 9:42 a.m. Rachel leans from the passenger seat, waving at the attendant. The kids are in the back, paper crowns from a fast food breakfast still on their heads. At 10:14 a.m., Rachel texts her sister, "Signal might drop after Barstow. We'll check in Sunday." No one ever heard from her again. By Tuesday, the 4Runner hadn't returned. Rachel's sister, Linda Bishop, called the sheriff's office. The dispatcher on duty, who still remembers that morning, later said the call didn't sound panicked, only tired, as if Linda had already rehearsed bad news in her mind. "They're careful people," she told him. "If they're late, something's wrong." Deputies reached the trailhead near Kelso Junction by dusk. The campsite sat neat, almost staged. The tent zipped, sleeping bags rolled, fire pit cold. On a folding chair, a paperback copy of Into the Wild. No footprints beyond 10 feet from the fire ring. Tire impressions pointed south into open desert. They followed them until moonlight failed. The next morning, wind had erased them. Search and rescue launched at dawn. Helicopters skimmed salt flats in heat shimmer. Infrared scans found nothing warmer than rocks. Volunteers dragged grid lines across the map, covering 60 square miles. The only clue surfaced on day 3, a pink headband tangled in creosote, bleached almost white. Maya's favorite color was pink. After 10 days, the search suspended. Official cause: lost, presumed exposure. The Mojave doesn't give back what it takes easily. Years passed. New cases filled the bulletin board. Lost hikers, plane wrecks, tourists. But every April, Linda returned to the same highway. She brought laminated flyers, duct tape, and bottled water. At gas stations, she'd staple the same photo. 4 faces smiling in desert sun. The caption, "Still missing the Turner family." Locals started calling her the sister who maps wind. She marked suspected routes on printouts, blue ink tracing the lines of dry riverbeds. She even hired a pilot once, paying cash for an hour's flight over the dunes. "I just want to see the shape of where they were," she told him. The plane circled emptiness. Then came 2025. 9 years after the Turners vanished, technology found what people couldn't. A team of geology students from UC Riverside was testing new thermal mapping drones for erosion research. Their instructor, Dr. Adrian Mills, chose the same sector near Kelso because it had minimal interference, flat, open, predictable. On the third flight at 4:52 p.m., one drone recorded a brief metallic reflection in a salt basin 20 miles off any road. The software flagged it as an anomaly, rectangle, approximate length 4.5 meters. When the students magnified the frame, they saw glass and a faint curve consistent with an automobile roof. At first, they assumed debris, a trailer panel, maybe an old military scrap. But a license plate frame was visible in the zoomed image. The first 2 characters, 4R. One student, Maya Trujillo, froze. She'd watched a documentary on unsolved desert vanishings during the pandemic. She remembered that number. A quick search pulled up the Turner case still archived on the state missing persons site. Plate 4R76, the rest unreadable. She showed Dr. Mills. He compared coordinates to the old case file. Margin of error, 2.6 kilometers. They reported it to the county sheriff. By sunset, Sheriff Darla Kincaid authorized a ground recon. A 4-vehicle convoy left Barstow at midnight. 2 deputies, one park ranger, one drone operator riding shotgun with live feed on his tablet. They reached the basin at first light, tires sinking into salt crust. At 6:13 a.m., the drone's camera picked up the reflection again. This time sharper, not glare, but glass under sand. Deputies moved closer on foot. The crust cracked under their boots like thin ice. A gust stripped a layer of dust away, revealing paint, silver, dulled to gray. Then the curve of a windshield appeared. Behind it, the silhouette of a steering wheel. They uncovered the roofline first, then the side mirror, then half a door. It was a Toyota 4Runner. The VIN plate matched the Turner registration. Inside, through a film of silt, they saw the outline of two seats still upright, seatbelts latched, dash intact, a child's lunchbox wedged behind the console, sticker of a cartoon bear still visible. The car was tilted on its side, half buried, like something the desert had tried to forget, but failed. No human remains, no footprints leading away. When word reached Linda, she was already on the highway within the hour, driving the same route she'd driven every April. Reporters followed before officials could set up perimeter tape. She arrived as deputies worked under a canopy to shield the site from sun. The footage shows her standing at the tape line, dust clinging to her jeans, staring at the roof of her sister's car, barely visible under beige crust. Someone asked how she felt. She said nothing. Then, softly, "I knew the wind would change one day." Crews used small brushes to clear the windshield. Beneath years of dust, someone had traced letters with a fingertip from the inside. 3 strokes, uneven but readable. When the sun hit it, the glass flashed once, like a mirror answering the sky. By late morning, the sun over Kelso Basin turned white and merciless. The excavation team worked under canvas tarps strung from the roll cages of parked trucks. Cameras rolled constantly, documentation for both evidence and the quiet disbelief of everyone standing there. Sheriff Darla Kincaid crouched beside the half-exposed 4Runner. The desert heat shimmered through the clear sections of glass. She touched a gloved hand to the metal and whispered to no one, "Still solid." A forensic tech named Marcos Echeverria leaned through the passenger window. The steering wheel was coated with a mineral crust, the dashboard an archaeology of dust. He cataloged every object the way divers handle shipwrecks. "Front belts latched," he said. "Rear, unlatched. Airbags intact. Ignition turned to accessories. Keys present." He bagged a cracked Polaroid of the Turners smiling beside their tent, a faded park brochure marked with blue arrows that led nowhere. Under the seat, he found a map of the Mojave National Preserve. On the corner, in Rachel's handwriting, "Try Drywell's Trail, looks quiet." When he looked up, Darla's expression had changed. "Drywell's was closed in 2014, she said. "Flash flood risk, not on any current map." They sealed the car in a protective canopy and began scanning the surrounding area. The drone operator sent a new thermal sweep across 2 kilometers of open flats. Most of it was silent stone, until one patch near a collapsed drainage channel pulsed with cooler temperatures, air pockets, voids. The crew moved to investigate. They scraped for an hour, cutting through crust that sounded like ceramic breaking. Beneath it, they found a corrugated metal pipe, half filled with silt. Inside were 2 sleeping bags, rolled together. The fabric came apart when touched, sun-rotted and gray. A flashlight lay between them. Batteries leaked out like crystals. In one pocket they found a child's tennis shoe, pink rubber sole, still faintly visible. DNA testing would later confirm the cloth belonged to the Turner family. The way the sand had sealed it meant one thing: the storm had caught them moving, not resting. That night, the search area lit up with floodlights. Wind hissed across microphone pickups. The sheriff's update to the press was careful and cold. "We have not located human remains. We have located strong evidence the Turners sought shelter during a flash flood. This discovery indicates no sign of outside interference." Behind her, Linda Bishop stood holding the edge of the caution tape. She'd slept 2 hours in 2 days. Reporters turned their cameras toward her, waiting for something. Anger, relief, a sob. But she only said, if they tried to shelter, then they were together. That's what matters. At dawn the next day, Marcos returned to the car. He wanted a complete item inventory before sandstorms rolled in again. Under the back seat, he found something small wedged into a crack, a digital camera, silver, its buttons corroded but intact. The lens was shattered, but the memory card clicked out easily. He labeled it Evidentee 19A and handed it to the Mogul Tech tent. Hours later, the forensic technician came running from the monitor trailer, shouting, "We have pictures." 12 photographs, each one a piece of time. Photo 1, the Forerunner parked near a low ridge, sun still high. Photo 2, Rachel cooking on a camp stove, the children laughing beside a blue cooler. Photo 3, Eli holding a field guide open to desert wildflowers. Photo 4, Maya building a cairn of rocks. Photo 5, clouds gathering behind them, thin brown streaks on the horizon. Photo 6, David tightening a tent line. Photo 7, the wind beginning to rise, the camera tilted, sand starting to blur the frame. Photo 8, a dashboard shot through the windshield, brown haze swallowing the view. Photo 9, Rachel's hand on the dash, knuckles tight. Photo 10, Maya's reflection in the rear glass, eyes wide. Photo 11, a white flash, lightning. Photo 12, a frame of pure dust. Then one 20-second video. The image shakes. Wind howls like a freight train. David's voice, "GPS is gone. I think we're inside a wash. Rachel, can we turn back?" David, "Not until it clears. Seatbelts, kids." A child's voice, half a laugh, half a question. "Are we still camping?" The sound cuts off. The recording ends. 9 years buried, waiting under sand. That camera had carried the last proof of their voices. When the footage was shown privately at the station, no one spoke. The projector whirred and stopped. Someone exhaled too loudly. Sheriff Kincaid finally said, "Let's get the GPS metadata from those frames. Maybe we'll pinpoint exactly where they hit the flood." Analysts overlaid the coordinates on topographic maps. The Turners had driven into a dry riverbed, looping east, then north again, trapped by walls of rock. The flash flood that night was the same one that had washed out Highway 95. The family's SUV must have been caught in a sudden torrent, spun, buried. Kincaid stared at the red path blinking on the screen. "They were less than 2 miles from the old Ranger Road," she said. 2 miles. They could almost see the towers. That evening, the sun set red and wide. A wind came from the south, lifting powdery sheets of sand and revealing things everyone thought were gone. Near the car's half-buried hood, a glint caught Marcos's eye. He brushed it with his glove. It was a compact mirror, cracked, initials scratched faintly on the back, R+DT. He held it up toward the sinking light. The reflection blinked once, throwing a thin beam toward the ridge. He lowered it, then realized, this mirror, uncovered by chance, was exactly what the drone had first seen flashing 9 years later. It wasn't debris. It was signal. That night, Linda sat on the tailgate of her rental truck, staring across the basin. The rescue lights had been switched off. Only the drone hovered above, a single blinking dot moving slowly through the dark. A ranger brought her coffee. She asked if he believed in signs. He said, "Not really, but sometimes the wind lines up just right." She nodded, eyes fixed on the drone's light. "That's how they found it," she said, "because something kept shining." The camera panned out over the desert. Dark shapes of trucks, the small square of the canopy glowing in flashlight halos, and in the distance, the faint pulse of a reflection no one had placed, still answering. The wind carried the sound of engines long before sunrise. Convoy lights flickered through dust as forensic crews rolled back into the basin. The desert was calm again, pretending innocence. The SUV sat half-exposed under the canopy, a ghost of chrome among dunes. Overnight, a thin layer of sand had already begun to reclaim it. Sheriff Darla Kincaid stood with her notebook, watching technicians photograph the mirror, the camera, the seatbelts still crossed over empty seats. "Document everything," she said quietly. "Tomorrow, it'll all look different." They were almost done with excavation. The ground-penetrating radar now read a hollow pocket 6 meters beneath the drainage pipe where the sleeping bags had been found. It was likely a wash channel, not human-made, but standard procedure meant checking every cavity. 2 men lowered a small probe camera down the hole. The feed came up gray dust, fragments of cloth, the tip of a water bottle, and nothing else. Kincaid exhaled. "That's all she'll give us," she said. Marcos nodded. "The desert's done talking." Later that afternoon, a cargo van from the lab arrived to transport the vehicle. They winched the Forerunner onto a flatbed wrapped in reflective tarp. The process took 3 hours. Sand poured from the undercarriage like hourglass dust. When they sealed the tarp, the SUV vanished again, this time under silver instead of sand. Linda Bishop watched every minute. She stood at the back of her rental truck with a notebook in hand. In it, she had written every coordinate, every detail the Rangers had shared. Tire angles, wind direction, the time of the flash storm cross-checked with weather archives. At the bottom of the last page, she added one more line. "Mirror found. Still reflecting." 3 days later, she was at the forensic lab when they opened the recovered digital files for official statement. The clips had already gone viral online, unauthorized leaks from local deputies, but she wanted to hear them under quiet fluorescent light, not from a phone. The technician rolled the footage, careful to keep it muted until her nod. Rachel's voice was steady, even as dust rattled against metal. "If anyone ever finds this, we stayed near the dry wells ridge. We're waiting for the wind to change." The video cut out after 12 seconds. That was the last human sound. The technician closed the laptop. "We can't know if it recorded automatically after that," he said. "Probably corrupted." Linda traced the rim of her coffee cup. "It's enough," she whispered. She left words. 9 months passed before the official report was released. Findings: vehicle immobilized by sandstorm and flash flood. Occupants attempted to relocate. Probable exhaustion and exposure. Remains unrecoverable due to hydrological displacement. Conclusion: accidental death. Case status: closed. The press called it the Turner miracle. The miracle being that technology had finally answered what water bottles, paper cranes, children's toys. Within months, wind buried most of them. The only thing that stayed visible was the small sign bolted into a rock by the sheriff herself. Turner site, do not disturb. Beneath, a line etched in steel. They waited for the wind. A year later, a documentarian named Lena Hart visited the basin to film an educational short on desert disappearances. She interviewed locals, the drone students, even Sheriff Kincaid. When she met Linda, she asked permission to use the recovered footage. "Only if you tell it quietly," Linda said. Lena promised. The film, The Family Who Waited for the Wind, premiered online that autumn. It opened with the faint hum of desert wind layered under the Turner's last photo. In 12 hours, it hit 1 million views. Comments filled with strangers typing, "They're home now." During editing, Lena noticed something strange. Each time the drone's 2025 footage passed the ridge above the SUV, a flash appeared in the exact same spot, consistent, rhythmic. She first thought it was sun flare, but the pattern matched a mirror's reflection. She zoomed in frame by frame. It was there in every pass, the compact mirror Marcos had recovered. Curious, she returned to the site 6 months later with a fresh permit and a drone of her own. When the wind shifted, the reflection blinked again. 3 flashes, a pause, 2. The same pattern that had led the 2025 drone operators to the basin. The mirror, half buried, was still signaling years later. Lena called Linda. "You might want to see this." They met at the ridge the next morning. The air smelled of iron and salt. Lena set the drone to hover while sunlight climbed higher. When the mirror winked again, Linda smiled through tears. "He was trying to make the mountain talk," she said. "And it still is." At sunset, she placed fresh flowers by the fence and sat down cross-legged in the sand. She took a folded paper from her notebook, the last unsent letter she had written to her sister, and read it aloud. "Rachel, the kids are part of the wind now. I hear them every time the sand moves. You were right to wait. The signal worked." She folded the letter back and slid it beneath a small stone. Wind lifted her hair and carried grains that whispered against her sleeves like rain. In 2027, a university climate research team ran a LiDAR survey of the Kelso Basin for flood modeling. When the data came in, the elevation map revealed faint concentric ridges radiating outward from the Turner site. Ripples, too uniform to be natural dune formations. One technician noted the shape looked like a sound wave frozen in sand, the file name they used for the anomaly, echo pattern. By the 10th anniversary, the story had settled into legend. Travelers stopped at the overlook, took photos, moved on. The wind still blew, still carried dust, still filled every hollow where voices once had been. Some nights, campers reported hearing a rhythmic tapping against their tents. 5 beats, a pause, repeating. The park never confirmed it, but locals knew the pattern. 3, then 2. Linda kept the mirror in a cedar box on her mantel. When the afternoon sun struck just right, it sent a brief stripe of light across her living room wall. She never covered it. She said it was her family's way of saying goodnight. In the film's final scene, Lena narrates over aerial footage of the basin. "The desert doesn't hide its dead. It folds them into its rhythm until we learn how to listen." The Turners didn't vanish. They synchronized with the landscape, waiting for technology or love to catch the echo. The drone camera tilts upward. Below, the old Forerunner glints once more, tiny against the endless gold of the Mojave. The signal flashes, 3 bright winks, a pause, 2, and then fades as wind drags a curtain of sand across the lens.